Air-Clips.com.
Servus, die Delta High, 2 Personen vor der Halle 16 zum Helipad, Ausflug über Echo, Lokalflug. 11508 und Echo, immer Hotel India bitte. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Left side clear, right side clear. Delta Hotel in Europe, Hotel Taxi. X1 Info, Delta Hotel in Europe, Hotel Servus, über Echo. Taking off, danke. Und take off. Off we go flying! The nicest thing to do in life.
How nice.
Well, you wanted to interview me today, and the weather was so nice, and I've done my sports, so I figured which better place is there than doing the interview while flying, you know, because that's what we talk about, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, obviously, so I just jumped into the car, drove here, and here we are for a little local circuit. And I did have a lead time of 30 minutes. 30 minutes ago I didn't know we go for a helicopter ride, and now I'm here super happy.
I wanted to test you how efficient and how creative you are.
I'm always there.
You pass the test.
As long as it's about flying, you can always count on me. For the rest, I'm not sure. So thank you very much for this. Super nice.
Welcome. Always a pleasure.
So we're here in Frankfurt. We departed from Egelsbach Airport.
It's the busiest general aviation airport in Germany. So they had their problems during Corona, but I think they solved them now, and I think they're probably even more busy than they were before Corona, because there's more and more people flying private now.
Yeah. And this is where you have your hangar with your PC-12, I just saw it.
Yes, which is a great luck for me, because having hangar space in Frankfurt Egelsbach is not easy to get. I pay a fortune, and many people were kind of like making jokes about me having my own hangar, but now they're all looking for hangar space, and there is none. So it helps a lot having your own hangar, even though it's a lot of money. It's also a safety issue, because nobody can approach your aircraft at no times. It's always closed, it's always locked, and everybody that goes in there is a person that I will give the code to. So I think it's probably the most important safety issue you can have. If somebody doesn't like you and does something to your aircraft, which you don't see maybe during pre-flight inspection, it can cost your life. So for me, it's a safety investment.
Yeah. Which village is that? Is it Egelsbach?
Actually, this is...
You're welcome to...
Servus, Delta Hotel, Hotel von Egelsbach gestartet, Ende der Eco-Strecke 101.100 Fuß gerade, Lokalflug, wir fliegen erstmal Richtung Feldberg und kommen dann in 1,5 Stunden wieder zurück. Wahrscheinlich geht es mittelfristig dann den Rhein lang und vielleicht nachher ein River Routing. For the end of the week, I was thinking, you know, sometimes once you know how to handle a plane, I don't want to say it gets boring, but it gets, let's say, less exciting. And since I was flying the CJ2 Plus for some while, not myself, but with a pilot, and I was just on the co-pilot seat, I'm thinking that maybe, you know, someday I should step up for a PC-24. The one thing I have not made my mind up is it really a plane that will suit my needs better? Because a PC-12 for now, you know, I can go anywhere, small airports, short runways, grass, gravel. The same thing with the PC-24, but I believe the runways have to be quite a bit longer, and so I'll probably do the type rating for it just to have more experience on the plane and to learn more about the needs, because when you look at the brochures of the manufacturers, it always says a lot, but then when you start flying it, is only then when you see the limitations of an aircraft.
But did I get the point? You're considering doing a type rating on the 24 before making a purchasing decision?
Yes, and actually makes the purchasing decision much easier. I should have done that also with the PC-12, because you ask all these sales people all these questions, and you get a lot of answers, and many of them are, you know, probably not true or only, you know, maybe near the truth. But once you do the type rating, you know, you see it all black on white, and there they can't fool you, they can't trick you. There they have to stay very close to the truth, because otherwise, you know, they will get you into a tricky situation. So I can only recommend, if somebody wants to spend X billion euros or dollars on a plane, they should have somebody they trust, and when they narrow down their choice to 1, 2 or 3 aircraft, just get one person they trust. To do the type ratings on all 3, and then just judge after the type rating which airplane can do what and which airplane has which limitations.
That's amazing. Never heard about that sequence, but makes sense.
Well, you know, it sounds kind of stupid because each type rating is a lot of money.
Oh.
It's a lot of money, so people say maybe it's a waste of money. But one thing is sure, your purchasing decision will be much clearer, much more precise, and much more correct afterwards, so you don't end up buying a plane where you find out only later on that, oh, you know, I can't fly to the airports where I want to fly to, and I can't take the amount of passengers, and I can't fly the altitudes, and so on and so on.
But frankly, I would think that even if you do the type rating and you decide against the plane, it would still have been a lot of fun doing that in the end.
Well, yeah, you know, type rating for the PC-24 is probably, I'm not too sure, but I believe it's probably like 4 weeks time, and you always learn something. You know, you always learn something. Even though if you fly other planes, you will always learn something.
Yeah. Where are we?
Well, we're actually near Altenstadt at the moment. So going north direction Echzell. It's actually the place where a friend of mine went to a boarding school. And we're actually approaching the airport of Reichelsheim, which is a small famous airport coming up to our left. And we see we're in the traffic circuit because there's one guy just above us. You see
right,
there?
yeah, absolutely. It's
and we don't
a motor glider. Yeah, it's waving.
And Reichelsheim Airport should be somewhere around there. The good thing about the helicopter is that you fly so low that most of the traffic you will miss, because planes always tend to fly a bit higher.
Yeah.
So the helicopter I always tend to fly a bit lower, even though you feel more secure closer to the ground. It's not true, because even in a helicopter, if you have an engine failure, you need glide distance, which you don't have here.
Yeah. And probably more birds, I guess.
More birds also, and I tell you what, we hit one bird, it's going to go through you and through the seat. So, but that's why I always turn it in low levels. I just turn the lights on, because that's what scares the birds the most. People think it's a noise, but it's not true. It's actually the lights that scare the birds.
And Oli, you come from the Frankfurt region, right?
I was born and raised in Frankfurt, yes. But I lived in the States, in San Diego and in Michigan for 2 years each. And then I lived in Strasbourg and in Saarbrück. But now back to Frankfurt. I'm quite happy. I spent a lot of time in the south of France, in Saint-Tropez. And I'm also traveling a lot. But Frankfurt is a very nice place. It's the most international small village you can imagine.
Yeah, I think so.
700,000 people, quote unquote, only, but very international and very open-minded.
And from I can see how intensely you use your PC-12. So I really think either you are an extremely busy person or you really enjoy flying it, or both.
Well, I enjoy flying, I enjoy traveling because I got my work life behind me, thank God. And now I just enjoy traveling. And now the PC-12, for example, I've flown it to Greece and I've flown it to Naples in the south of Italy. Both were very beautiful trips. And my wife, which so far didn't like flying on the last flight, she was laying out, stretched out on the back seat and just having a small sleep. That made me very happy because it seems that she has started to trust me as a pilot, which is really a good sign.
Yeah, that's good.
If there wasn't Corona at the moment, we probably would be flying in Frankfurt, but maybe in the Bahamas or in South America. Maybe not with a helicopter, but for sure with the PC-12. But with Corona, everything is a bit difficult at the moment.
Yeah.
I plan to go to Kos, the island of Kos, in Greece, near Turkey, the week after next. But we'll see, you know, if Corona, because of Corona, they will close down Greece or not, we will see.
Yeah, it's getting worse everywhere now.
Yeah.
This is just so beautiful here.
It is, huh? Well, the advantage of the helicopter is you got great views. Actually, on the new H125, what they're going to do is they're going to divide the panel, which here covers pretty much 2/3 of the view, and they're just going to make a small panel, which they can do nowadays because of the electronic instruments. Especially the co-pilot, but also pilot will have much more view, which is good for passenger transport and sightseeing, but which is also good for lifting and spraying and firefighting and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, super nice.
But still, you got more views than in a plane, and people tend to fly lower, and also, you know, you can fly as slow as you want, and you can even be stationary, so all that helps quite a bit.
Okay. But stationary is challenging, you mentioned before, right?
Well, stationary is challenging because as long as you got air streaming around the hull of your helicopter or your aircraft, everything is more stable. Once you lose that, you really have to be sure where the wind is coming from, because then you don't want to have the wind from behind, and it just makes it more unstable.
Okay.
Because the wind doesn't hold it in position. Okay, we're looking for a lake now.
Oh yeah?
I think it's this lake over there, where a friend of mine is having a barbecue.
Oh yeah?
And he just wanted me to go by, wiggle the blades and say hello.
Oh nice. Guys, this is how we visit friends over a barbecue on a Sunday at Air-Clips.
Well, unfortunately we're not in France or England or Ireland or Italy where we could just land and visit him. But in Germany you can only do that when you're a professional pilot, when you have your ATPL license and not your PPL license, which I have. So unfortunately we won't be able to touch down and see him, but that's okay.
Super. And how's the lake called?
Say again?
What's the name of the lake?
Hogener See.
Hogener See.
Quite a nice small lake.
Super nice.
Too bad because he's got a nice big house, so we could definitely land there. Yeah, but the birds, you know, they really know how to fly, so when we fly this slow,
okay,
normally they should be able to avoid us. I believe he's somewhere down here. I'm going to call him really quick and see if he's there. Aber die Nachbarn gucken, oder? Ah, das war der kleine Magi-Mark, ja? Na gut, da komme ich schon mal vorbei. Kannst du der Tochter sagen, ich hole sie ab? Geh bis mit ihr fliegen. Seid ihr da, seid ihr irgendwo, gell? Da, ne? Ah, ja. Hoch und runter, mach mal Jumping Jacks. Ciao. Okay, that was done. Nice, 3 little lakes, huh? There's so many things you can discover when you fly a helicopter.
Beautiful, beautiful, yeah. Do you sometimes, I mean, just do what we're doing here, grab
less and less because I like traveling, and but you know, now I haven't been flying for a while. I tell you what, when we lifted off, I could feel it. I could feel it. You feel if you have not been flying helicopter for 2 weeks. Okay. You lift up and you say, oh man, you better be careful here because you don't want to make a mistake now. Okay. This feeling goes away after maybe 10 to 15 seconds. So before taking off, you need to take a deep breath and say, okay, now this is not the PC-12, now this is your helicopter, so, you know, be ready for it and fly it nicely.
Yep, okay.
So we have to watch the time a little bit because I have to be home at 6. What time is it now?
It's 4:30.
Half past, so we got plenty of time.
Yeah. Maybe that's a story that is too private for you viewers to listen to, but I thought it was funny. I was rushing so much to the airport and I had to fit the cameras and I didn't want to let Oli wait, of course. And, you know, I needed to go for little boys. And then, you know, I had to rush so much that Oli already started the helicopter engine. And there was a helicopter with a running engine waiting for me while I was doing that. That was the most unrelaxed occasion ever. Very funny.
Well, I know how to push the pressure a bit.
Oh, yeah.
But now with the sun, probably going to put on some sunglasses.
Yeah.
Because it's also a danger issue.
Oh, this is heading direction Frankfurt now?
Yep. Actually try to hit the Feldberg up there. I think that's the Feldberg. Shit, there's birds.
Oh, birds, yeah.
But believe me, they know how to fly, huh?
Yeah. Hopefully. So Oli, there's, I mean, your PC-12 film, your other films are super popular on the channel.
That's good.
And there's a lot of nice comments always, and I really...
I did look at them for a while, so I have to do that. I like to answer. Most of the comments I answered at the beginning, but I didn't know there were others coming, so I have to look them up again.
One of the questions on the comments is usually that people really, really enjoy this, having this feeling like, hey, just imagine I could have my PC-12 and do these fun things they enjoy with you. So do you have, obviously you have not been that unsuccessful in life, yeah? Do you have any general advice for what is important for success? What's your secret for success in life?
The secret for success in life is, I think, passion and setting goals and just you know, never let go. If I want something, I want something, and I don't let go until I get it. And you know, sometimes you have to be patient. Sometimes it doesn't come quickly, but you just have to be stubborn and just never let your goal get out of sight. And that's basically it. And it starts actually in school. I'm not saying that school is the most important and will get you the furthest, but you know, if you drop out of high school, you're just not going to make it. It's going to be very difficult if you want to make it. And so, you know, that's, for example, my kids, they all play rugby because in rugby they teach you to set goals and to achieve them and how to achieve them and how to fight for it and how to overcome pain and how to train for something. So first you got to seed before you can harvest. Once you understand this system and once you follow that through all your life, then, you know, things will fall in place pretty much by itself. You have to have a little bit of luck as well, but the biggest responsibility just lies on your shoulders. I know it's kind of like a general advice and everybody kind of like will tell you the same thing, but I think there is no secret to it, because you ask me for a secret, it's very obvious, but it's very hard at the end, you know. If you want to achieve, you just got to work hard.
Yeah. Very true, I guess. So you mentioned rugby. I think you're also engaged in rugby yourself, right?
Yeah, I used to play for the German national team in rugby, and I also used to play professional on a very high level in France when I was much younger, which also taught me a lot about life, because actually that's what life is, right? It's one big game where you, if you want to, where you can always win or lose, and it just depends on how hard you train for it. And I really enjoyed rugby, but at the age of about 26, I've seen that it's time to move on and do other stuff, and then I concentrated much more on the university, and I was quite successful there as well, which was just as much fun as the sports, because at the end it doesn't really matter what you do, but it's basically more in do you win, or are you successful? And for me, actually, it never really mattered what I do as long as I was successful in it. There's another plane, we have to watch out. Oh, yeah. To the left. It's quite low. Pretty much heading into our direction, no? But they see us. Yeah. Because actually, if you look at the...
Down here 27.
Yeah. If you look at the terrain, the traffic alert system, you see that there's a lot of planes today. There's another one coming up there 300 feet below us. This one is now 100 feet below us. So we just have to be super careful. Today is a beautiful VFR day, but it also means you just have to keep your eyes open. Huh?
Sunday as well. So this is a normal TCAS?
Yes.
Well, that's amazing.
Which is not that normal for a helicopter of this size, but it helped me out of a lot of situations, and I tell you what, many professional pilots tell me, well, you don't need it, you better keep your eyes outside. But then sometimes I cover it with a piece of paper, and I tell them, okay, I see traffic, do you see it? I see it on the TCAS. And they don't see it, and I tell them, well, it's over there, look, and then they see it, there's another one just to the left of us, 3 miles out, and then they see it much later than I see it on the TCAS, and then I've convinced them quite often that they say, oh yeah, maybe I'm old school, or maybe you're right, you know.
Oh, I like it really, especially for this VFR condition here. There we have.
And while we're talking, we still have to be very careful that we don't go into any restricted areas and go to court afterwards about it. So, you know, always have to keep an eye on the map, keep an eye outside, keep an eye on the TCAS, keep an eye on your speed, keep an eye on your radar altimeter. So there's a lot of things you have to do at the same time. Once you get used to it, it becomes quite easy, and you can give an interview, but hopefully not making any mistakes. But if you're a newbie, you should be doing that.
So which kind of restricted areas would you encounter here? Military?
Military, especially military, but there's nuclear plants as well. No. There's a control zone of Frankfurt Airport, which is not very easy to see. There's a control zone of the Wiesbaden Military Airport, which is not a restricted area, but it's an area where you should not go without having proper radio contact and the permission. So, you know, that's actually the big task with flying VFR is this air is full of traffic signs, which are not shown. They're shown on the map if you're lucky enough. They're shown on the NOTAMs, you can read about them, but they're not shown in the air. There's no signs in the air telling you stop, like on the street when you go with your car. So very easily you go into a specific area, and you just don't feel it, you don't see it, and maybe you don't even have the right radio contact, and then you get a letter from, you know, your local authorities saying, well, you know, you've done an infraction, and we'd like you to tell us, you know, what happened and when and where, and then boom, your license is gone.
Nice way to put it, with the absence of the signs in the air.
Yeah. 123.525, you may take over there, bye. 123.525 and transfer. 4451 is set, and he has identified us. So now, what does he do when he says identified? He'll be looking at us and for us. So you cannot rely on him, but he will help us with traffic. If he sees something coming up on his radar screen, either somebody with a transponder or a primary target just with his own radar. Then he will tell us, watch out, there's somebody coming, you know, from the left to right at this and this altitude crossing your path. Maybe you should have a good lookout. So that helps. That's why I always stay on the radio frequency and talk to them. So this is beautiful Feldberg with a lot of people laying out in the sun and enjoying the last sunshine rays of this summer.
Super nice. I'm enjoying this so much here.
A lot of motorcycles. I think the helicopter comes here quite often just to pick up the dead cyclists, motorcycle riders. Yeah, that's unfortunately that's how it is, you know. So fly a little tour around it.
Super.
Oh, a bit slower.
Fantastic. You can always see this from the distance from Frankfurt if you have that well. It's so nice.
I normally ride my mountain bike up here, so it's much less exhausting by helicopter, but not much easier.
But that's quite some elevation here, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's quite 600 meters in difference of height when you start at Frankfurt Hallmark coming up here.
Wow. How long does it take you?
It takes about 50 minutes to come up.
Very good.
But very intensive 50 minutes, and it's a heck of a joy just to going down.
Oh yeah, that I can imagine. Wow. What a highlight.
So now we're looking for the River Rhine, which is quite nice to fly it up, but today we really have to be careful. We have to stay on the right-hand border of the river, for one thing, because there will be more people having the same idea.
Oh, okay.
And on the other side, we have to be super careful because there's certain cables crossing the river from left to right, and one of the most deadliest reasons for accidents is flying into cables when you fly low.
Okay. Which aircraft, if you had a choice, you know, irrespectively of size or cost or whatever, which aircraft as a pilot have you ever thought about one type that you would love to fly once?
That's a very good question. I actually hadn't thought about it, but I think I would love to fly a fighter jet.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, just to see the acceleration and the agility of it. And I'm actually working on that plan because you can do that in Russia and certain parts of France you can do that.
MiG-29, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find, you know, an honest place where they really let you fly it yourself and, well, not yourself, you know, with a safety pilot, obviously, but taking the commands and where they have a real fighter jet with real acceleration and not something that's being tamed for normal people.
Wow, that's a cool answer, actually. Nice.
So that's something on my bucket list which I would like to do.
Yeah, put it a few levels higher on your bucket list, please.
So now I've asked if the control zone of the Wiesbaden military airport is active, and they said no, which I thought because American soldiers are not working on Sundays unless there's a war. But now what we're doing, we're overflying the Wiesbaden Rhein-Main Air Base, and we cross it from north to south in order to go to the Rhine River.
And this very helicopter here, it's, I compared it to Jürgen's of the same type, also H125, but yours has this like VIP interior with 3 leather seats only in the rear.
Especially, yeah, that's true. But well, we can change the 3 seats in the back to 4 seats, which is quite nice because when you fly with 3 people, it's much more comfortable. And to change it, it takes about 5 minutes. We've done it many times in summer. That's easily done. But on the other hand, the VIP interior now has quite a bit more weight, not a lot, but maybe like 30 kilos and compared to the naked version, if you want to say so. And the helicopter is always about weight, you know, how much can you take? You've seen me flying with a basket outside today. The basket will be used for going skiing or going camping. So loading this up, plus filling up with passengers, One would say, well, the H125 is, in comparison to its weight, the strongest helicopter you can get. But still, when you fly high and hot and heavy, it reaches its limitations also. So normally it would be better to have the helicopter as empty as possible, as light as possible. But I've chosen this one because I think the looks are so nice and it's so comfortable, and I'm not flying that high that often, and if I fly high, just take a little bit less passengers. But very interesting, at the end of this year, Airbus came out with you see the V-Spot airbase coming up in front of us.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Airbus came out with a pure software update. We're gonna get 100 horsepower more.
Software update.
Yeah, because they've tested actually the frame of the helicopter, and they always thought that the turbine is too strong for the frame of the helicopter. But now they retested and tested. They said no, the frame can take the torque, the extra torque, and the extra power.
Okay.
So now they do a software update where they will just release on the first limitation indicator. I'll tell you what that is in a second. They will release an extra 100 horsepower, which will give you about another 100 kilos of internal weight that you can take, and a little bit more speed.
Wow. You have to pay the
first limitation indicator is quite an interesting system. If you go through here, hold on, let's go through here. We normally have the torque, the N1, and the TOT. Normally we have three factors that will limit our power usage. And now, if you see now, if I speed up, now at this altitude, at this heat, it will be the torque, which is the first limitation indicator. You see that?
Yeah.
So, but instead of having to look at 3 needles now, what Airbus came up with, which is really cool, they made a first limitation indicator. So they put all 3 needles into one, and they said no matter which one will start to limit, the one big needle will always show you which limitation came in first.
Oh, that's good. That's really smart.
Now you have to help me and look very well for cables.
Yep.
There, for example, there's cables coming, but you see that you can't see the cables.
Yeah.
You only see the pillar,
yeah,
but not the cable. So you really can't be flying too low, because then you really have a good chance of catching the cables, and that kills us immediately. Especially because now we have the basket, but we don't have the floats anymore. If something goes wrong here, boom, we drown. A very easy trick. Once you see a power line pillar, okay, just fly over the pillar, and then you know you can never hit a cable, because the cables cannot be higher than the pillar itself.
True.
Yeah, good one. That becomes very true when you fly in clouds. When you fly low, because you want to get under the clouds, you always have to look for pillars. And even if you have non-rated people flying next to you, so quote-unquote co-pilots that don't know anything about flying, they can still help you look for power lines or power line pillars. So it's 5 o'clock local time. Is that correct, or is it?
It is. Wait a sec.
It is. Quarter to, right? Yeah. Quarter to, right.
Beautiful area, super beautiful.
Nice, huh?
Yeah, you can also see the where they grow the grapes.
Yep. Nice little excursion.
Yeah, super nice. So, does your wife join you in a helicopter ride as well? You're only speaking about PC-12.
Yes, in the PC-12 she insists that we fly with 2 pilots, which I think is very smart of her, because something can always happen. Which becomes even more true in a helicopter, because if something happens here, you definitely would not be able to land it. So you put your life into the hands of my health, because if I now go unconscious for some reason, I get a heart attack or something, you definitely will die with me. And she feels that the 2 of us going at the same time in a helicopter is probably not the best idea, because we have 3 children.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't have very strong arguments to argue against that. So we try. I don't think she's ever flown with me, just with me as a pilot. And I think she hasn't.
I don't think your answer gives me a lot of comfort.
Yeah, but you have to face reality. That's how it is.
It's true, yeah.
First of all, you try my capabilities. You think and you hope that I'm a good pilot, which you don't know. And second of all, you trust my health, that I will not go unconscious or have an epileptic attack or something like that. You know?
Yeah, that would be.
But therefore, at the age of 55, I have to do a medical checkup every year. So I have to go and see a doctor, an eye doctor, ear, nose and throat doctor, and a normal doctor. And I tell you what, they don't muck around. Huh? They don't make fun. They want to know, are you fit to fly? Because they know that people will put their lives in your hand, and they want to detect if something is wrong with you. They look if you're overweight. They look if you're out of shape. They look if you're stiff and old. They look if you can hear well or see well. And if something like that is not right, you're not flying by yourself. And as I said, at the age of 55, that checkup is being done every year.
Okay.
I believe it's actually from the age of 50 on.
I think if it was the PC-12, I might be able to get it down, but the helicopter...
No, the helicopter, there's no chance for you. PC-12, yes.
This is so beautiful. Which city is this?
This could be Baltic, but...
Look at the church here.
Schloss Hansenberg, Schloss Johannesberg. Could be Eltville, huh?
Eltville, yeah?
That could be, yeah. Knowing how to do this, having the right license and having a helicopter that you can use is just, I wake up every morning and I pinch myself and ask myself, is this true, you know? Super nice, yeah. There's other things which I enjoy which are much less costly, like riding my mountain bike or my road bike or doing weightlifting or going kite surfing. It costs a lot less money, but it's just as much fun. But this, I have to admit, this is just big fun too, you know.
To really do the right thing, I think. If you have the chance, do it.
But it didn't come by itself, so I really had to work very, very hard for it for quite a long time in order to achieve it.
I don't know if that's asking too much, but which industry did you work in?
I was in the jewelry industry and I was making big jewelry, which is between fashion and high-end jewelry, so inexpensive jewelry for the masses. And I was lucky that our products were selling very well, and you know, sales were just good and the times were good. And if you look at the retail environment today, I wouldn't be able to do it again because retail, stationary retail, shops in the street, they're just all going down the drain, right?
Yeah.
Due to Corona, due to the internet, everything comes together at this moment.
Man, I can't believe what we see here. Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're actually flying under the surface of the Earth if you look to the left and to the right.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah. This is almost like our flight in France.
Yeah.
Wow. So anything...
Nice, huh?
This is unbelievable. All these great growing areas.
All the vineyards, yes.
Vineyards, that was the word I was struggling for.
That's why I help you.
Thank you.
What I'm here for.
The castle over there. Castles. There's a castle every 100 meters.
Yep.
So what you did in today's retail environment with online mails and so on would not have been possible, you're saying?
I tried it, I didn't get it, and I sold my company, and the people that bought it, they tried it, they sold it again, and the people that rebought it, they tried it also, they didn't make it, so...
Oh, okay.
It's not really a product which can be sold online, I believe, because it's actually purchased by impulse. People have to see it, and in order to have the desire to be awakened. So I believe it's something that has to be presented where a lot of people pass by in order to give them the idea.
And how did you enter that business? Was this because you were so much in love with jewelry, or was it
just an opportunity came up, and I grabbed it, and I've seen that there's a lot of margins, and there was a small wholesale business which I had taken over together with my sister actually, and you know, we've grown it together, and my parents have started it, but it was much smaller when we overtook it, and very much smaller before we sold it together. Very nice. But we sold it in just in time because we're delivering mostly to department stores, and department stores, I actually learned, I made an apprenticeship, a 3-year-long apprenticeship in a department store, and for me it was very easy to be foreseen that department stores will not make it in the modern retail environment, and that everything, just a lot will shift to brands, and online. And that's actually what we see nowadays in Germany and in Europe, that a lot of department stores are going out of business and will disappear from the shopping streets. Yeah. Beautiful. It's nice, huh? So nice. Actually, we had to go home already since a long time, but I really can't because it's so nice here. I'm not objecting that, for sure. At some point we have to turn around and go. Probably miss the river routing through Frankfurt, but that's, you know, the price you have to pay. Yeah, it's fair enough. Now you see here, like on the street, you have the rule once you do the mountain training, you know about this when you go in the valley, and we're actually in the valley, even though if there's a river, you always stay to your right side, and the other traffic is coming to the left side. If it's not possible, you can also fly on the left side or on the middle, but normally they teach you, you stay on the left side in order to avoid collision with a helicopter that's coming down, you know, the same valley or another, or an aircraft. But, I mean, VFR-wise, in this area now, there's so far nothing. I thought there's one big wire coming up. I don't actually know exactly where it is, so we have to be super careful. Okay. And it goes quite high over the valley, but I think maybe we're not going up high enough. We don't follow the river up high enough in order to cross the cable. But we still have to keep our eyes open and be alert. Alright. Never think that we're safe. But you see one castle after the other, and it's so beautiful. Huh? Unbelievable, yeah. It's really nice. You guys, if you enjoy what you see here, please be so kind and leave some comments for Uli here. It's super nice what you're doing for us all to enjoy here. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Now that I hear that there's new comments, I promise I will look them up, and if there's questions, I will answer them. Thank you. But now I want to ask you, how come you have so many followers, huh? I don't know, you have to ask the followers. Okay, have you started from scratch? Have you started this channel with zero followers? I just started because I was flying a lot just for other reasons, and I had the luck to fly on rare aircraft, like Yushin 62, just as a regular passenger, and I thought this was so nice. I wanted to preserve the sights and sounds for me, so I just took my small camera and recorded it. And then once I had my private Google account, and then it came with a YouTube account which had my name, and then I just uploaded it, and I wanted to see, you know, maybe if someone is interested, and I thought maybe 10, 20 people would see it. I forgot about that one. I looked it up a month later, and there were 10,000 people who watched that one film. And it was not a cockpit film, it was just passenger perspective, but that got me addicted. And then slowly over time I increased passenger perspective films, and then once I had the chance to ride on a jump seat and was allowed to film, I realized the cockpit films would be even more popular. Nice. This is how it came. So you bring flying closer to the people. That's very nice. You bring joy to the people. I enjoy doing that very much as well, obviously. So if other people can enjoy as well, it fits. How could you not enjoy what we are doing? And therefore you also get to fly in many different aircrafts, right? Yeah, and that's what I love. I mean, just this week I was so lucky to fly, no, actually
I was so lucky to be allowed to put my cameras into a Trans-Al cargo aircraft of the German Air Force.
I've seen that, and that has a lot of hits, right? A lot of clicks.
Oh, I guess it will. The film is just finished. It will be uploaded soon. But
there's one where the nose was opening up, and I see that has a lot of hits. Huh?
Antonovs, yeah, I think these were the Antonovs. But the Trans-Al, they did a beach landing with a 50-ton aircraft.
Oh shit! A beach landing with a 50-ton aircraft.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Amazing footage, just amazing.
And you were in it, no?
I mean, this was the first case where I could go because the lead time for the planning was 1 day. But we managed to get the cameras on board, and I enjoyed it just as much, I have to say. It's getting better and better the further we go. This is crazy.
This is the way to do sightseeing, huh?
Man.
You've never done a river cruise like this, tell me.
No, I haven't.
Just have to watch out for these cables, huh?
Yeah.
It's coming up somewhere in some time.
It's insane. Look at this castle here.
It's nice, huh? Unbelievable.
And you got into flying through Jürgen, right? He was the one.
Actually, Jürgen had a helicopter pilot's license. It's a long time. I knew about it, and I had a friend, and he was quite bored in south of France during the winter, and he wanted to do something. So I proposed him, do something to get a helicopter license. And he started, and I said, you know what? If he's getting a helicopter license, why don't I get my plane license? And that's how I started with a license for a plane. And then after I got my plane's license, I said, right away, I want to get my helicopter license as well, just to compare to see which path I go down. And now I decided to go to both paths. So the good thing when you like a castle with a helicopter, you can always stay stationary and have a closer look, Amazing. But we have to check the wind is coming from the front, so that's okay.
Amazing. If you could try to get it a bit to the front in front of our nose.
Yeah. And you want to be careful because there's not a lot of wind. Now the wind comes from the side and we can't turn backwards into the wind. But now we're leaving again, picking up speed.
Man.
Nice, huh?
Nice.
Delta High, wir verlassen den Rhein jetzt und fliegen zurück Richtung Frankfurt.
Cable.
Where?
That's low.
Delta High, wir verlassen den Rhein und fliegen zurück Richtung Frankfurt. Schon geil, oder?
Yeah.
But it's very interesting for me, this flight, also because I can tell, giving an interview where you have to be more concentrated than just talking to somebody about something, it takes up some brain power. You have to be very careful not to do any mistakes, and you always have to remember which comes first. It's not the interview which comes first, with what you say and what you talk about, but it's the flying.
Yeah.
So it's a new thing in the helicopter, because last time it was mostly flying and then commenting here and there, but now it's an interview where you pose questions and you need to answer and be a bit more precise and a bit more exhaustive. It's different, but it's doable. You get used to that also. See there, for example, is a glider, and we were talking, and if we don't see him, that could end up in a nice accident, which you have on 4 or 5 different cameras. That will get you a lot of clicks.
Yeah, probably.
It's actually a glider.
It's a glider.
It's a glider.
But it wasn't on Tikas, right?
No, because the gliders mostly don't have transponder because it's too heavy.
Of course.
And they don't have the battery for the power,
Of course, you need a transponder, yeah.
So they have a FLAM, which is an extra device which you can install, which I don't have on board.
Okay. I used to fly sail gliders when I was 14.
Oh, okay, cool. So, why did you stop?
Because I didn't have access to get to the airport anymore. I could drive myself, and I just had the opportunity for one season.
Okay.
Do you have any favorite, maybe particularly interesting or challenging airports or approaches that you have you been to Courchevel, for example?
Courchevel, I've been with a helicopter not too long ago, I think like 4 weeks ago.
Oh.
But not with the plane. I want to do my mountain rating now, which I have done already in Switzerland for the helicopter, which was very, very, very difficult, I think. And now I want to get my mountain rating with the airplane, and the mountain rating will give you access to all, or pretty much all of the French mountain airports, like for example Megève or Courchevel. So that will be the next thing on my bucket list.
Okay.
But I don't know if I want to do it with the PC-12 or with the Cessna 182. I'll have to think about that. Probably best to do it in the plane that you always fly, because then you've done it in this plane under the supervision of an instructor who knows what he's doing. But you also, one thing I learned in flying is never trust the instructor. You always have to make sure you get one that's not only an instructor on the paper, but that also knows very well what he does, because I had so far already some dangerous situations.
Yeah.
With instructors which were life-threatening, where I now say, well, I should have looked closer at the experience of the instructor in their respective aircraft.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that.
Yep, but that's how it is, Just like if there's good plumbers and bad plumbers, there's good flight instructors and bad flight instructors. And there's flight instructors that are very good in one aircraft, but maybe not as good in a different aircraft, because they just lack the experience,
Yeah. What about flying helicopters at night? Sometimes I see like police helicopter.
It's very, very challenging, but it's not a problem. I have the night rating for helicopters as well.
You have it?
Yes. Because I'm IFR rated, it's not that new to me, because flying in a cloud or flying at night, it's pretty much the same thing. But I have to tell you, flying a helicopter without having ground reference or any other reference is much more difficult than flying a plane without having a reference, because a plane itself is stable and the helicopter is not. So, it's challenging. It's challenging, but I like to do it when there's a lot of lights around, where there's like a street around which is lit by artificial light, when there's towns and stuff, it's easy. But as soon as you fly over large tree areas, for example, without any light, and you have to know what you're doing, So the helicopter always has a searchlight, so that gives you some reference on the ground, but only to some extent, and then afterwards you just have to trust your cockpit.
And that searchlight you may use?
Yeah, you can use it.
Okay. So you have two separate IFR ratings, one for the aircraft?
I don't have the IFR rating for the helicopter. There is a different IFR rating for helicopter and for the airplanes. I have only the one for the airplanes. Because this helicopter, even though it has all the instruments you need, probably even more than you need for flying IFR, is not IFR rated because it's a single-engine turbine helicopter. A single engine in Europe is not rated as an IFR machine.
Das ist auch geil mit dem Telefonieren drin, oder?
Well, you always at low, so you always at low that you always normally have GSM capture, and that means that you get on your iPad, you get by your GSM you get your weather, sometimes other information as well, plus you can talk on your phone, which is sometimes a safety issue. You want to call an airport and see what time they close, you can just call them from your cell phone. You don't have to use the satellite phone like you have to use it in the PC-12, where the quality of sound is sometimes so bad that people just hang up on you. And people sometimes don't even pick up because they see a number with a plus 952 or something prefix, and they think, oh, it's probably somebody trying to trick me into something, so I'm not going to even pick up.
How do you do it with like maintenance of the aircraft?
Well, that's I think I found a pretty good setup. We have Helvetic Air, which is a very experienced and very good helicopter company based in Egelsbach, and they actually are a Part 45 company, so it means they can do the maintenance on certain helicopters, and they also have the authority to do the maintenance on the H125 or AS350. That helps me a lot, because as soon as something, or when just hourly or calendar maintenance comes up, I just call them or they call me, and they take the helicopter over to their shop or they do it in my hangar. So that's very good because it's local. With the PC-12 I have to go either to Siegerland or to Pilatus in Switzerland, which which is not so bad because the Pilatus has to be checked up much less often than the helicopter. I think it's due to the fact that the helicopter has so many more turning parts with its rotors in comparison to the PC-12, but I might be mistaken. But the PC-12 normally only has to go to the shop once, maybe twice a year. So this year I think I only have to do a corrosion and a battery check and get some issues with the seats fixed, some warranty issues, but basically the PC-12 has, you might want to say, next to no maintenance that needs to be done. For the moment being, I think that will definitely change once the plane gets a bit older, but for the moment being that is the case.
So, how old, I mean, the PC-12 is this year?
The PC-12 was from May this year, and this helicopter now, I believe, very good question, I think it's 4 years old now.
Which is nothing.
Which is nothing, yeah. Frankfurt Tower, Delta Hotel, Indigo Hotel, good day. On our way to November, approximately 5 minutes. Runway 07, enter control on 9 November, 1014, Delta Hotel, Indigo Hotel.
So does that mean we will cross Frankfurt International?
We cross the end of the
5-mile hotel.
the end of the runway where the planes are taking off. I don't think we get a midfield crossing, but we can ask.
Oh, very nice, thank you.
Well, you've done it with my friend Torin and it's just on 182 already, right?
Yeah, but
you can't cross it often enough, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Unlimited visibility.
So it's 15, okay. This is November Point, and from November Point we have to follow the highway southwards.
All right.
Very important if you want to get a midfield crossing, by talking to them via the microphone or via VHF, they feel how much experience you have. If you don't have an experience, they send you away. If they feel you know what you're doing, there's a much bigger chance of getting it.
Okay.
I know that because in the beginning I didn't know what the heck I was talking about, so no chance for midfield crossing, and now I get it much more.
Okay.
Most likely now we don't get it as a bad example, but well. We slow down a little bit to give them a bit more time.
Oh yeah, that's good. It also gives us a better look at the downtown.
Yeah. Inbound, new control tower, Delta Golf Left. Okay, so we did get it.
That's good, huh?
Beautiful view. Yes, huh?
Let's say hi to my office down there.
Ah, that's where your office is, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. You know that this building down here is a... no, looking out, but I can hold position if you want. Inside, and we stay north of the 07 right. When the traffic has touched, we permit midfield traffic north to south. Delta over there.
So nice. So the headquarters of Lufthansa down here.
Delta Hotel Indigo Hotel. So nice, huh?
Super nice. What a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, ATC and the Tower of Frankfurt.
Yeah, as well. Look at the 737.
So here now, for example, you could fly very slow in order to see more, but they will remember that the next time you fly. So once you get this, you expedite, you get out of the way, and you don't annoy them, and so, especially you, but also other private pilots. 18405, Cockpit. Ciao, ciao, 1000 Dank. Regelsbach, Delta Hotel Indigo Hotel, wir kommen über Lima 08 441 1014 zur Landung. Okay, pass auf. Delta eintritt an den Enterzug, vorausliegender Verkehr. Als schön am Helikopter, dass du einfach schön anhalten kannst, weißt du?
Ja, das ist super.
Muss kein Go-Round fliegen. Beautiful view, just beautiful. Nice, huh?
Yeah,
I love it. And I never get tired of it.
No, how could you?
Delta Hotel Indigo Hotel, Helipad zurück, Karte 16. Und einmal Tankwagen bitte, für Jet 8. Danke.
Nice one.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Early.
Good idea. Thank you.
I will fit the cameras into the PC-12 now, and then I'm looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning.
That's how we do it.
AirClips.com